The Knights Hospitaller was a Catholic military order with the full name of Knights of the Order of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem. They would also be named as Knights of Rhodes and the Knights of Malta. The original purpose of the order was to provide aid and medical care to Christian pilgrims in the Holy Land, but it would later become a military order whose knights made significant contributions to the Crusades. The Hospitallers, unlike other military orders such as the Templars, existed before the First Crusade. The order was first established at the Hospital of St. John in Jerusalem by a group of Italian merchants. After the capture of Jerusalem by Western armies in the First Crusade, the Hospitallers are recognized as a religious order by Pope Paschal II in 1113. In the same year, Gerard Tom was appointed as the first master of the Knights Hospitaller. In 1120, Raymond Dupuy became master of the order. He established the first significant hospital infirmary near the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Under Raymond, the Hospitallers became more militaristic. Between 1135 and 1154, the Church grants the Knights Hospitaller independence. By the second half of the 12th century, the Hospitallers became a reliable source of well-trained knights, useful to the Crusader armies. The Knights Hospitaller had many castles throughout the Holy Land. The first castle they were given was Beth Gibbelin near Jerusalem in 1136. They also gained castles in Syria such as Crac des Chevaliers and Markab. The Hospitallers came to control 25 castles in the Middle East, many of which guarded important coastal areas and land routes. There were many important positions in the order, such as Master. The Master was elected by a committee of brother knights. The next important position was Grand Commander. He was responsible for administration, supplies, and weapons. The Marshal looked after all military and disciplinary affairs. Other senior officers included the Constable who commanded the Knights, the Admiral who commanded the order ships, the Master Esquire in charge of horses, and the individual commanders of the Hospitaller castles. High-ranking non-military brothers included Conventional Prior, the Hospitaller, and the Treasurer. When Jerusalem was recaptured by the Muslims in 1187, the Hospitallers moved their base to Acre in 1191 during the Third Crusade. Then when the Mamluks took Acre in 1291, the Hospitallers sought refuge on Cyprus. The Knights Hospitaller planned to establish their new base on Rhodes, but it was under Byzantine control. After 4 years of campaigning, the Hospitallers took Rhodes, which they would rule it as an independent power. The Hospitallers fortified Rhodes with the strongest defenses in 1309. Rhodes was a useful base for Western armies on their way to the Middle East. The Greek Orthodox population was viewed by the Catholic Hospitallers as schismatic. They were compelled to recognize the supreme authority of the Pope, and the Greeks were forcibly moved to the suburbs. The move to Rhodes also led to the Hospitallers to becoming a naval-based military orders, Many of the locals would end up as rowers in the order's galley ships. Despite tensions between the Hospitallers and the locals, Rhodes prospered under Hospitaller rule. On May 23, 1480, the Ottomans sent a fleet of 160 ships to attack Rhodes. The Ottomans' first strategic goal was to capture the Tower of St. Nicholas, which was the key point in the defense of the two harbors, Mandraki and Akandia. The first attack by the Ottomans was repelled. The second attack on Rhodes occurred. The Ottomans launched a vigorous offensive, and their vanguard of 2,500 Janissaries managed to take the Tower of Italy and entered the city. The Hospitallers' counterattack caused the Ottomans to retreat. On August 17, 1480, the Ottomans gave up their attempt to capture Rhodes. Despite their failure to take Rhodes, the Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent decided to launch another attack on Rhodes on June 26, 1522. The Ottomans blockaded the harbor and bombarded the town with field artillery, followed by almost daily infantry attacks. The walls may have been strengthened after the first siege, but the Ottoman cannons breached a section, allowing the Ottomans to attack. The Hospitallers repelled many of the Ottoman attacks on the ramparts, but the Ottomans decided to explode mines under the walls, but these attacks also were repelled. Both sides decided to negotiate for terms, since they are both exhausted from all the fighting. Unfortunately, peace talks broke down and the bombardment continued. The Hospitallers surrendered to the Ottomans in December to avoid loss of civilian life. The Ottomans finally took control of Rhodes. In late December, the Hospitallers marched out of Rhodes, carrying their banners. King Charles V of Spain gave Malta to the Hospitallers. Malta would serve as their new headquarters. They would be referred to as the Knights of Malta. In 1565, the Hospitallers, led by Grand Master John de Vellet, faced 40,000 Ottoman soldiers, and despite great losses, they were able to drive off the Ottoman Turks. After the Great Siege, the Hospitallers turned Malta into a fortress that befitted a military order with a capital city. The Hospitallers continued to have a strong presence in Europe through their connections with European monarchs and the Holy See. Their stronghold of Malta was captured by French troops under Napoleon in 1798, and the Hospitallers were expelled from Malta. The Hospitallers still exist today in various forms in various countries, and they still continue the order's original purpose of giving free medical aid to those in need. Thank you for watching my video, everyone, and I hope to see you all next time.